Hi, I'm Jeff Cialetti, Editor-in-Chief of Craft Spirits Magazine, and welcome to this edition of Craft Spirits TV. I recently took a trip through the desert Southwest, and I made a bunch of stops along the way. One of those was at Hamilton Distillers Group, better known as Whiskey Del Bach in Tucson, Arizona, and I chatted with co-founder Stephen Paul, and he told me a bit about how Whiskey Del Bach gets its signature smoky mesquite character. Most of our chat took place right outside the distillery, and it was a bit of a windy day, so I apologize for a little bit of the wind noise that you might hear.
My wife and I had a custom furniture company for 30 years that specialized in mesquite wood, and I would always take my scraps home to barbecue with, and I would always tell my wife those are our profits going up in smoke. And one night in late 2006, we've always been scotch drinkers, and we're drinking scotch and barbecuing, and she goes, "Why couldn't you dry malt over a mesquite fire instead of a peat fire like they do in Scotland?" So I was like riveted by the idea, got a little 5-gallon still, kind of graduated to a 40-gallon still, and went into official product development phase off that still, and took product to the local Tucson marketplace, and it was warmly received. And so then we got funding to build the 500-gallon system with a 5,000-pound malt house in 2014. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. But yeah, the goal was to make a truly southwestern American single malt whiskey. So this is velvet mesquite. It grows all around us in the Sonoran Desert, and you know, it's a well-known. Regionally, it's a well-known aroma from fireplaces and barbecuing, and then, I don't know, 20 or 30 years ago, people started realizing, you know, nationally what it does to food when you cook over it. So what happens is we build a fire in this burner box. When the enzyme has been produced in the malt, it's very vulnerable to heat. As the kernels dry out, it becomes less vulnerable. But you don't want high heat in the very beginning. So we're just pumping heat into that grain bed, up through the grain bed in that tank in there, our germination / kilning tank. And that just happens on the first day of drying. The smoking just lasts one day. So yeah, it turns out that the smoke will only grab onto the kernels when the exterior of the kernels is wet. Then on the second day of drying, we just convert to a heat from a boiler through a heat exchanger, and we're just pumping hot air after that first day. And the species we have here is called velvet mesquite. It's Prosopis velutina, and yeah, so it's cut for firewood, and you know, quite a evocative aroma when you're walking through a neighborhood on a winter night and people are burning it in their fireplaces.
Thank you, Stephen, and thanks everyone for joining us today. There'll be a bit more on Whiskey Del Bach in the next issue of Craft Spirits Magazine, where we'll be featuring American Single Malt, as well as a road trip through the Southwest and all the distilleries along the way. That is due out at the end of April. And once again, I'm Jeff Cialetti, and this is Craft Spirits TV.